Well, when you first came in
April the 3rd, 1946, I landed on the Moyie from Kaslo. Come up on the bus from Nelson. I stayed overnight in Nelson from Vancouver and caught the bus the next morning.
How did you know about the Duncan Lake Lumber Company?
Oh, I had a share in it from the coast, eh?
I saw the ad in the paper.
Ad in the paper there at the coast. And I wanted to get out of Vancouver because I was trucking around there and it was raining all winter, you know, and I was a bushman anyway.
Had you just gotten out of the service?
No, I never was in the service. I was working the shipyard, eh? Welding.
And which one?
Welder in the North Burrard shipyard. So I had to quit that. I got too much smoke in my lungs, so I quit. The war was still on then. It let me out, so I went in the wood business.
Were you working for Arrow Lumber? Or?
No. I went in the wood business. I bought 10 acres of wood. Where is that place? Point Roberts?
Oh, Roberts.
Point Roberts?
Roberts, yeah.
No, I borrowed $300 from a guy there, a finance company, and bought 10 acres of wood, just the wood, and sold the wood. The war was still on. So I had my own truck, because I used to truck in New Okanagan, haul logs in New Okanagan, and I sold my trailer, and all my back got so bad I couldn't truck no more logging.
This had been before you worked?
Before that, yeah. So I headed for the coast and took a welding course. I kept my truck. And hung on to that, rented a place. Family came out, rented a house in Burnaby. And I stuck with the welding for a couple of years and I couldn't take her no more. So I bought this wood business and got my nephew to help me, and we cleaned off this 10 acres of wood and sold every stick of it. Never put an ad in the paper once. Just for wood for sale.
For solid?
No, wood, short wood.
Or
16 foot
firewood.
Firewood. Everybody's hungry for good wood.
Huh.
Birch and fir and alder. And one neighbor would see they're getting a load of this wood, $14 a cord. To all 3 cords on a load. Oh, the next neighbor, he wanted a load. And the next neighbor wanted a load. And then get around it. Well, this guy over here wants a load. I never was out of orders.
So it was all second growth that you were...
Yeah, it'd been logged over, eh? And I just got the smaller stuff.
Yeah.
So I rented a buzzsaw and took the family down there and the kids. And I hired a guy undercover. He's supposed to go through the Wartime Prices and Trade Board. I was supposed to hire him through that. Eh? But he didn't want anything to do with that. So I says, well, okay, you can work, but I'll give you so much a cord. You know, you cut it down and limit and pile it in piles so I can get in there to buzz it up. That's what we did. He done the falling and piling it. And we just buzzed it up and hauled it.
Huh. But so you saw an ad in the paper?
Yeah, and then I sold my truck that winter. And this guy spotted my truck. It was a 38 Ford, nice looking. It was 7 years old then, but he used to keep it in good shape. He had a 37 Ford, and he was hauling lumber for these houses. They're starting to build these wartime houses after the soldiers came back.
Like in North Burnaby and places like that?
It was in northeast Burnaby. Dawson and Wade had a contract to build so many houses in a plot there. Every house had a different number. The lumber had a different number. You had to pick out the lumber for a certain house, pick out so much of this, so much of that, and deliver to that house, and the carpenters would be there, and you'd deliver to that house. It's just starting, so you'd pick that lumber out and go to the number of that house. Raining every day. I never seen anything like it. You had to wear these wet clothes, you call them, slickers, and And so he bought my truck. He wanted me to drive his truck. He wanted to drive mine. I sold it to him because I didn't figure I wanted it anymore. Because I was going to move out. Hadn't in the back of my mind I was going to leave Vancouver. I determined because I lived in the Okanagan for years and years. Mm-hmm. What drove me out was my back. I couldn't do any heavy logging. I was riding in trucks all the time, and my back was so bad it ached steady all day, and when I went to bed I could hardly turn over in bed. I just had to turn very easy. Mm-hmm. If I laid off for 2 or 3 days, it'd be fine. Mm-hmm. So the doctor told me, he says, if you want to be an old man fast, just stay with it. I just said, no, I'm going to quit. I had long hauls, them short little trucks them days. You were just a-bouncing all day long, you know. And they didn't have good seats them days anyway.
Like a 3-ton or?
Yeah, it was just a 2-ton heavy duty with a truck and trailer. Mm-hmm. Haul logs into Armstrong. Mm-hmm. That's what I was doing, or logs or lumber or cordwood or you name it. I was always busy doing something. Sawdust in the wintertime, hauling to Vernon sawdust.
So after the back it was the rain, and then it was the Duncan Lake Lumber Company.
Well, yeah, and then
Sounds like both the bad back and rain.
So I seen this ad in the paper. They wanted a bunch of shareholders to go to the interior. This Frank Willis and his associates, they had a big meeting, and so I thought I'd go down and see because it was in the interior. There was a sawmill, starting up a sawmill, and they were asking for returned soldiers to join, you know. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a returned soldier, but anyway, I went down, sat in the meeting. There was about 20 of us there, 25 I guess. Done a lot of question answering, and they wanted $1,000 a piece to join so they could buy. They wanted $30,000 because they had to have $15,000 down on the timber.
Was it private timber? Or
was
no,
yeah,
timber?
It was Kootenai Cedar Company then. Mm-hmm. They owned all that. They owned 144,000 acres here of timber at one time. And Billy Clark, he was running the show up here. He worked through Kenna to give you a plot or whatever, but we had to go through Kenna to give him a down payment of $15,000, down payment on the timber and the mill. The mill was sitting there on the edge of the Duncan Lake there.
The mill was
the old mill was there. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the fellow's name that owned it, but he pulled out. The market was no good, and he just left it. I think there was one boiler sitting there, and the head rig, and that's about all. Mm-hmm. And the old edger, the old edger was there, and the green chains. And they wanted $35,000. They wanted $1,000 out of each of us to get started. Mm-hmm. So it was very interesting, yeah. And after the meeting was over, I talked to Frank Willis. He was the head of it. And I forget his secretary. His name was Boyd anyway. He was his secretary. Between the two of them, they run the show anyway. Anyway, I says, I can't give you $500, I says, or $1,000 down on this. Oh, he says, I need you. He says, you're a logger. I told him, yes, I'm a logger. I've been logging ever since I was 14 years old. Oh, well, we need you for a foreman. As he inquired about the others, a lot of the others, they didn't know too much about logging. A lot of those returned soldiers didn't know hardly anything about logging. Mm-hmm. So, yes, he needs you. Well, I said, I'll give you $500. That's the best I can do. Okay, I'm going to join you up. He said, I want you right away to go to Howser. Right away. I came home. I think about 3 or 4 days I was hit the trade. And here I was, landed here, April the 3rd. They had an old truck here, an old international, 28 International, 2-ton. And that's how we all jumped on the back of that with our goodies, or, headed up to Howser. Well, there was no snow here. There wasn't a bit of snow on the 3rd of April, all the way up through the Meadow Creek. There was deer, lots of deer out in the meadow, and little patches of snow here and there. That's all. Got to Howser, I just loved that. Nice lake. It was low, yeah, the river run there. So, got down to the old bunkhouse. I got pictures of the old bunkhouse. I had quite a few pictures. Anyway, we landed in there and had our supper, and first thing I had to do was go and buy a team of horses and harness and rigging, because they didn't have anything. They didn't have a chain, they didn't have double trees or harness, nothing. So Willis says, you go out, he says, go around, he says, take the old truck and go and see if you can find a team of horses, logging horses. Well, I says, I don't think you get much up here. Well, he says, we got to start somewhere. So I went down to the old Frank Abbey. He had a team of skates there. They weighed about 1,300 apiece. And they weren't much of a logging horses, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I got them broke in, because I used to drive horses myself for years. And I got them rounded up so you could pull the fares. They're short, all short logs. It wasn't that big either, you know, white pine, and mostly white pine. We were logging just above the mill to start with. Anyway, then we got Tillin here. Tillin he lived right here in this CPR station. He was the agent. But he had a team of horses, a dandy team of horses. He had a guy hired, I think he was doing some logging for somebody up here, so we got a hold of him. And we had to make roads through this timber. We didn't have any cats, no cats around. So we felled the logs, felled the timber, and this operator, he didn't want to work Saturday. So he says, can I have your horses? I want to pull the stumps. Well, I don't know. You have to see Tillin. Well, I says, I'll go see Tillin. Oh yeah, he says, I know you're a horseman. I had to pull all those stumps, you know, make a road wide enough for the truck to get through. And the stumps, maybe 8 inches on the, you know, small stuff, a lot of small stuff. So that stuff we'd cut pretty high and put a chain on them and wrench them this way, wrench them that way, and first thing you know, out they were. They came out. You just wiggle them back and forth and loosen the roots off and get a short hold, and the horses got them. Take them out.
Do you think that was an area that had been hand logged and cleared?
No, it was pretty thick timber, but what we were trying to get through is we were allowed, this is hemlock, mostly small hemlock. We were trying to get the road through to get into the white pine.
Which was a bigger...
And some of this white pine was mixed in it, of course, and we had to get in there, and no other way. You couldn't skid too far.
Right.
Anyway, I made this road and plugged up all the stump holes and got through with the truck. We had another International too that brought in. That was a 4-ton International. It had a tag-along axle at the back, and we just loaded the logs on the back of that to haul them to the mill because it was a short haul. It had a long wheelbase, so that was fine.
You loaded with horses?
Loaded, cross-hauled them on with a team of horses. Take about 2,000 feet on it, walk out and dump them on the deck down there. Until we did that, and then we had to go up to Duncan. So anyway, we did that and supplied him with a little bit of lumber.
Had he gotten his 30 shareholders? Or
Well, they came in, yes. Most of them came. And the mill needed a lot of work on it. A lot of work to be able to get started. And the first month after they started the paycheck coming, they were just about broke. And we had to go up the Duncan. This is where our main timber was. It was up the Duncan. So this is getting to be late 24th of May then, June. We had to go up there, take by riverboat, go up and take all the stuff up. There was an old cabin there. Well, a cookhouse and a bunkhouse, an old log bunkhouse.
Was that left over from the
That's
previous
from
mill
the
operation?
previous operations. The guy that was up there took most of the poles out and left the logs.
Was that George McInnes?
Yeah, right.
And did he run a mill there too?
Yes, he had the mill down there.
I knew he logged poles, but I'd never
Yeah,
heard that he had.
and this is on the Howser Flat, called the Howser Flat. So that's the first place we landed. So we had to take the horses up by the trail. Pat, he went and bought a team then, Jim Pat. So I took our team up. In fact, I took our team up. I think I had help, so I had somebody with me because we had to swim across some of these channels. The water was high. The trail come up along the mountain, and you'd have to dive down into the slough and back up again, up on the trail again. So first time I ever been over that trail, we had a heck of a time to find it some places.
This was going up towards
Going
Haley's
up
Landing?
with the horses, yeah.
Or were you north of Haley's Landing?
No, we were just ahead of the lake at that time. And there was a government cabin about a half a mile from the head of the lake up there. So we stayed there overnight. First night we stayed there. There was a phone. I could phone back to Howser. And these old crank phones, I still got two of them here.
That forestry put in this.
Yeah, just one line strung through the trees. Anyway, Pat was supposed to come. I waited for him. Not that day. We took the horses on up. Got them up to the barn, and I had to go back down. Pat bought himself a nice team. No, I forget where he bought them. They're a lovely team. They weighed about 1,800 apiece. Beautiful team. Anyway, he was toting them up alone, two of them. So I had to go down to this government cabin. It was 4 miles down from the camp. And wait for him. I waited that evening. He was supposed to come by 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Never showed up. So I waited and waited. Well, in fact, the kids were there then. The wife was up there. We had a tent. We lived in 2 tents, the wife and I.
And you had children up there too?
Yeah, I had 3 kids up there. Arlene and Clark and Glenn. And the kids had a little rowboat, I went down with this rowboat, and the kids rowed it back up the river. Left me there. I had no rowboat, I had nothing. So I waited for old Pat to come. Well, he missed the trail. He went down into Hinks's. So he stayed there all night. And here I was, down at this cabin, nothing to eat, or no coffee, no nothing, no blankets. And I waited all night, and the mosquitoes are so bad, they just about drove me nuts. Oh, I put in an awful night. I had 1 blanket, and I had a deer skin underneath the bed, the bunk, and an old gray blanket, and I put my head, the blanket over me and over my head, and I could still hear them buzzing. Light a can full of green stuff and try and smoke them out. Door open, try and smoke them out. You think they're all gone, shut the door and go to bed. They were all laying down along the logs or something because they were back in there as soon as the smoke was gone. They were after me again. I put in an awful night. I was sure glad and painted. Pat showed up about 11 o'clock the next morning. Yeah, that was quite a deal, that was.
So you were logging with 2 teams?
Yeah, 2 teams. No, we had Tillin. We had 3 teams for a while. We had Tillin up there too. Tillin brought his team. So we had 3 teams of horses up there, and the mosquitoes were so bad that year. I had a Buck Croft. He drove the company team. Mosquitoes didn't bother him a bit. He never put a dope on or nothing, and they never even attacked him. Can't figure to this day why. They'd attack the horses, but he didn't have to put any of this stuff on his arms or his face or anything. We had to put it on about every 5 minutes. I was ready to quit. I throw her up, but I couldn't. My wife was up there. She was cooking in that old shack for these men. Kids were up there, and she'd get in the wash tub to wash the clothes, and the kids had bows, just hitting bows like this to keep the mosquitoes away while she was on the scrub board, washing on the scrub board. It's true. Yeah. You'd have a little smudge in the shack before you went to bed, screen door, and keep the mosquitoes out or you wouldn't sleep. She was a rugged deal.
How many men were there in the camp?
We had about 15 men up there. No, we didn't quite. No. They had 15 men in the mill. And we had about 10 men up at the camp.
Were they all new to the area?
Well, a lot of them had come and go because they first picked out the loggers. I talked to them and give them a soda file. As soon as I seen them, watched them file, I knew whether they were a logger or they weren't. Yeah. One guy, he was there for quite a while. I walked over, still filing on that good brand new saw. I said, "What are you doing?" Well, he says, "I'm filing the saw." I said, "You say you're a logger?" I says, "I don't think you are a logger," I says, "I don't think you ever seen a crosscut saw in your life. Because look at the mess you got made out of it." I says, "You just ruined that saw." He kept filing, he filed it away down to nothing pretty near. Oh boy. So it was pretty hard to get good men. They wouldn't stay up there for the mosquitoes, eh? They'd come and they'd go. They'd send them up, come and stay a couple of days. I want to go back. You'd have to get on the river boat, take them back, pick up somebody else, bring them up. We couldn't get much production that way.
No.
We had to have fallers and buckers. I used to get out there myself and buck.
But there were no men who had been, say, working for McInnes, who knew the area, who had been.
Oh, McInnes. No, we didn't have any of those guys. No.
They'd all gone with him.
No, Pat, he thought he was going to be smart. He says, "I'll get you some men," he says. That was the next year. We had to fold her up just as it got too cold, up there. And the kids had to go to school.
So you moved back
So
during the winters?
we moved the horses out, teams out. We all moved back to Howser and we logged 15 miles. I let Tillin go. He was doing something else. Anyway, we had Pat. He was logging, and we had the company team at 15 miles. We set up a camp. There was a little camp there anyway. There was a cabin there for the men and the tents for the boys. We put frame floors in them and just the tents over them. That's what we lived. Wife and I lived up there at Howser. We had two of them. There was one for anybody that came up, and there was no bunks for them. We put them in the other one. We lived in the one. They were about 14 by 18 or 20. So I built them with frames up and put the tents up for them. Anyway, that's what they lived in at 15 Mile too until it got too cold. And then we weren't getting enough production. And besides, there was no paycheck coming. Too many men to gobble it all up, Wasn't enough production. And the price of lumber wasn't that good.
Was the mill working all right?
Yeah, the mill wasn't working that good either. Because there's always breakdowns. I never seen such a haywire. They wanted me to go saw 'em. because I'd sawed in the mill before. Oh, I took one look at that. I said, the kind of lumber you're sawing, I don't think I want it. Oh, wedges. Every last board plank that came out was a wedge. Because they didn't have the carriage lined up with the head saw. If you know what I mean.
Sure, yeah.
The track's got to be perfect, the head saw's got to be perfect in line. And the carriage got to be true. The head blocks in the carriage. When you're pulling ahead, one can't be this way and that way. They all got to pull right to cut good lumber. We threw more, wasted more lumber, good cedar. But what we were getting is what kept us going really when we got into that good cedar. We fed them good cedar all that summer, and they could make clear lumber out of a lot of it. It was beautiful cedar, beautiful. 3 feet on the stump, 4 feet on the stump. A lot of them were sound, and ones that weren't sound, they used to split them and make edge grain. Edge grain was worth $200 a thousand in Edmonton, landed in Edmonton. So that's where we gained there. The ordinary side lumber was only $44 a thousand. So these guys wanted 40, 50 cents an hour, and they wanted too many men in the mill. There's too many men in the mill, and it gobbled it all up. The wages took it all. There was no profit.
So it got pretty discouraging.
It got very discouraging. Well, I went up the next spring. Through Thurston Lumber Company, they took all the lumber pretty well.
That was the broker?
Yeah, they were a broker.
Were they any connection with Willis?
Yes, well, he had dealt with them before he ever came here, because he had other mills before and went broke too. So he tried this one, thinking that he was a nice man. I liked Frank, but he was a darn poor foreman, he wasn't a good businessman. He'd sooner get out there and do the work himself and ask a hired man to do it. This is the kind of man he was. Not me, boy. I'd make them do the work. I'd be along beside them, but I want them to work too. Make them to produce. They gotta produce or they shouldn't be there. Or you're gonna go broke, that's all there's to it. Anyway, the next spring, that winter, they went and bought this old cat, TD9. Never forget that. Never even asked me about it. They got this from a fellow in Nelson. Supposed to just overhauled it, the motor. They never got it to Cooper Creek and the thing broke down. Oh, I never seen it like it. They had the tappet set up too tight, or warmed up, where you just bent the tappets down. So, anyway, they got it going again. I forget who got it going again. Anyway, we got that, and that was the biggest headache we ever had. Anyway, I took it up to Duncan.
You have a winch on it, or?
Yeah, it had a winch and a blade. It took me a week to get it up there. I made a float for it, a cedar float out of logs, well, mostly pole. I had a bunch of cable. I just cabled these poles all together, double, this way and this way.
Crossways.
And put the cat on it and towed it up the head of the lake.
What did you tow it with?
Well, we had a couple outboard motors and a white boat with an inboard motor called a white boat. That was Frank Willis's pet, we called it.
Was it a tug or?
No, it was just a motor boat.
Inboard.
16 foot long, and had an 6-cylinder Star motor in it. Gas motor, yeah. Anyway, we got to the head of the lake. And I could see, I was on the barge, We weren't making any time. The river's coming in, and we were just sitting there with two motors wide open and old Willis up above there. Anyway, I got I got a piece of bark or something and I threw it at Willis's boat. Tried to get his attention. You know, he just sat there. He'd sit there for an hour. He'd think we were going somewhere. We weren't going anywhere. So I got his attention and told him to come back. I said, we're not going anywhere. I said, we're just sitting here. I says, the best thing you can do is turn this cat around, you know, the float around, pull that winch line out to that tree over there. We're pretty close to the bank. Get the boys to help you and wind it around a couple of those trees, and I'll winch this float over there and I'll pull this cat off on the bank as far as we're going. We can't go with this float. Okay. So we did that. Turned around, got it up on the bank, winched her up on the bank. The banks are only 4 feet, you know. Got her winched back up there. So I had to tear all the raft apart because we were on the wrong side of the river. To tow the raft up the river by itself, they couldn't do it. 3 boats couldn't tow that raft. It was high water. So they did. I think I forget who I had with me. No, I had a swamper with me, you know. And I had to go across some of this marsh, you know, sloughs back in there, and I had to follow these sloughs through. Oh, there's a nice place. I'd say let's head for that one. And here's a rat run. There'd be a big rat run. It would be maybe a foot down. So I wouldn't dare. I'd have to go back and try and fill it. Well, I'd go back and push a little bit. Down I'd go. Right to the belly pan. I had lots of line on the winch, so out go the line, out to the whole bunch of willow trees, and hook on and open her up and get out of there. So we'd have to cut a whole bunch of brush, put underneath you and get across the rat run. Go a little farther, you'd see another rat run. So you'd have to do the same thing. I only got caught once that way. We cut a whole bunch of brush and walked the brush till we got up to the point where we had to cross the river again. So they had to go and bring this raft up piece by piece, and we had to go and put it all back together again.
So that you could get across.
So I could get across to the other side.
Boy.
So they did that. They towed it up there, a couple of logs at a time. We'd put her back together, and I winched myself across the river and up on the bank on the other side. And I think I made 5 bridges on the way to Howser, trying to get into Howser Creek, cross Howser Creek.
Well, there was a trail partway up, but it wasn't
there was a trail all the way.
It was just a foot trail?
Foot trail or horse trail?
Not enough for a cat.
Oh Lord, no. No. These horse trails are only about as wide as your kitchen table here. No. I had to build my own road all the way up. But I was very careful not to get stuck anymore because there was lots of dry cedar there, standing dead water-killed cedar. So we used to skid them in and make our bridges across these little channels, and then go to the next one and build another bridge. Those bridges were still there when they flooded the dam. They used them. The Kootenai Forest used those bridges with their jeeps. Yeah.
Well, how did you get your fuel in?
Oh, brought it up by boat.
So you'd have to refuel on this trip?
Yeah, they'd drop off you a barrel of fuel or 10 gallons, or, you know, in 10-gallon drums, so you could manhandle it to get it into your cat.
Well, that was quite an expedition just to get your machine in there.
It was. It took a whole week from the time I left that side, you know, put the raft back together. It took me a whole week to get to Howser, building bridges.
To Howser Creek?
Howser Creek, to the camp. Took me a whole week.
And did that improve your production, having the machine up there?
Oh, I can't say. It did on the bigger logs, because you could handle a good-sized log, you know, and you could skid farther with it. You couldn't skid that far with horses. You know, it was too hard. You had to double up with the horses to get a good-sized log out.
Right.
4-horse team. Either that or use a sloop, summer sloop or something like this. Keep the front end off. The main thing is to keep your front end from digging into the roots and ground.
A summer sloop. I know what a winter a sloop.
Well, a summer sloop has got cast runners on it, eh?
To make it skid over
It'll skid. Yeah, it'll slide on the dirt. Better than steel will grind, but cast runners will slide over the dirt to beat the band.
I'd never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Maitland described what a sloop was to me.
Yeah, well, it's just 2 runners and across a bench on it like that, and you got maybe put 2 logs on, 2 big logs, or maybe 1. Cinch it down, and away you go. And you're keeping the front end off the ground that it's always digging in the ground. Oh yeah, you just take the team and roll it up on top of there, the cross-haul line. You know, we used to get logs there 4 feet. Well, that's a good sized log.
Sure.
3.5. I got pictures here of one log on a truck that filled that truck from up here.
Huh. You were the only people operating in the area.
At this time, yeah. Yeah, everybody thought this Duncan Lake Lumber Company was quite a big outfit, you know. Anyway, it was sure a change for me.
How much longer did it last? I mean, I've heard that the mill burned down.
Oh, that was in, what, 49?
So you went 3 years then?
Yeah, about 3 years, and we brought, the mill itself went and, Willis bought 2 steam boilers, eh? From
these tractors?
Yeah, steam boiler tractors. I guess Claude told you that.
Yeah.
And he ran one of them, and Willis ran the other.
He said it was hard to keep steam up because the slab wood was wet. You know,
Yeah,
they
right.
Shut the mill down until they
That's
could get
right.
steam up again.
Yeah. Yeah. Then they didn't. They had 3 steam engines in that mill. Then they went and bought another Jimmy motor. There was 4 power in there.
Well, I think he said that ran the planer or something.
Yeah, well, one ran. No, the planer, we had a 120 Chrysler running the planer that time, and the resaw. That was too much for it. We had to take the resaw off, but it ran the planer beautiful. That 120 Chrysler, beautiful motor. Beautiful motor.
Were things looking up then? I mean, were you getting paid and?
No, I wasn't getting paid. At the last year, they owed me. I hadn't collected enough just to pay the store bill, practically, and a few dollars to buy clothes. I was getting deeper in with them.
So then both of you were working then? You were.
No, Mother. The last year she had quit. The last year she wasn't cooking in the cookhouse. I think, how many checks did you get anyway, Mother?
I don't think I got any.
Oh yeah, you got paid the first month. You got 1 check.
Because I was up to Duncan from July till, what was that date?
October. It's all right.
Yeah.
Well, we came down at the beginning of September,
beginning, yeah.
the kids in school. And then I
Anyway, the
kept
checks
the
weren't
money,
coming very fast.
cooked it.
I used to have to hound old Willis if I wanted any money. Anyway, I was going to quit the last year in July. I told him I was finished. No money. I said, you owe me over $1,000 now. I says, if I go any farther, I says, I won't be getting paid. Oh, well, wait a minute. We'll give you some money. And he says, we just shipped a carload of lumber out. So he gave me a check for $200. And before I got it into the bank, the mill burnt down. I took the check in and it bounced. Thurston had seized that carload of lumber because the company owed them money.
So Thurston had been advancing the lumber company money.
They'd been advancing the money, but getting all the lumber, eh? Enough to divvy, enough to keep the boys going.
Right.
So I had over $1,000 back wages coming from them when the mill burned down.
But nothing to seize. The mill was burned.
Well, we did seize. We seized the whole bunch of us. Even Archie Greenlaw and John worked a little for them, and they owed Archie money for repairs here. He had this garage, eh?
Right.
So they owed Archie a bunch of money, so we all got together and we went down there and seized. We had about 100,000 feet of white pine up on the hill there, dry piling. So I went down to the lawyer, Gansner, Nelson.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
The judge. The guy.
He's a judge now.
Right.
He's a lawyer then. And we put a seizure on that lumber. So it took a couple of months, I guess, before they put it up for sale for bid. And I think Kootenai Forest bought it. Remember, yeah, Kootenai Forest bought it. And be gone darn if I didn't get a check for $400.
Well, that's better than nothing.
So that was better than nothing.
Yeah. But you had no job.
Well, I made my own job. I got this money when they went broke. I went to McCrate, down in McCrate here at Nelson. He bought poles, eh? He was a pole buyer. He never seen me in life before. I went in there, secretary was there. I says, look, I told him my name and where I was and been working for so-and-so, and I says, no, the mill burnt down, I was going to quit anyway. I says, in the meantime, I had bought 80 acres at Marblehead that Abby had sold me. He wanted me to buy it. Sure, I'll buy it, but I can't pay you much down. I give him, oh, that's all right. I'll give you $80 down and so much a month, or, you know, so much a year. That's fine. So I drew up the papers. You know, there was a bunch of poles on it, eh? Quite a few poles on that piece of land. And I went over it. No bridge. No bridge then. Had to wade the river to get there. The bridge was there, but no approaches. It just chopped right off. There was no approaches to go across the bridge. I went to McCrate. I talked to him, but I didn't talk to him 15 minutes. I said, Mr. Crate, I need some money. I said, if you want the poles, I got the poles. If you will trust me for $300, I says, because I need some money to live on, and I want to buy a power saw. Okay, he says, turned to his secretary, he says, write this man out a check for $300, just like that. I never seen him before in my life. Anyway, I came back and started cutting pole.
Did you have horses?
And I applied. No, in the meantime, I went and bought this team. It was everything was tied up in the sheriff's hands by this time. So old Tom Valentine over here, he was running it, looking after it. So I told Tom, as soon as that mill burned, he says, I want that team of horses, because we had a different team then. A beautiful team. And this other guy, he thought he was going to take him, this Jack, what the heck is his name? Anyway, he took him for his back wages, but he couldn't do it. He tried to. Took him up to the Howser Ridge. He was working for this other guy that was hauling logs here, down here to the dump. Richards, yeah, his name is Richard. Anyway, we went up there after I showed Mr. Valentine $300 scraped up. So Tom and I took a trip up there and Tom told him, he says, that team doesn't belong to you, he says, you just get them back down to Howser. He says, oh, I can't. He says, the company owes me money. I said, Tom says, if you don't do it, the cops will. So he returned the horses. So we took them over from then. The harness, the horses, the rigging. I got the whole thing for $300. Beautiful.
So you were in Meadow Creek?
No, Marblehead.
Marblehead.
Across from the old Marble
But on the
camp.
east
No.
side of the river.
Yeah. Yeah, so we started making poles. That spring and summer I took off 3 carloads of poles. And Benny McCrate loaded them out here. I brought my horses down, cross-hauled them on with the horses.
Did you bring them down the river into the... and then bring them down...
The horses?
No, the poles down the river and...
No, I got them hauled.
On the rail?
See, they put the approaches in. They put the approaches into that bridge as soon as I applied for them. They had them in there. Oh, they were so happy to get that bridge used. Because it's been sitting there for I don't know how many years and not going anywhere.
Who had put it in originally?
Leary. He was the member of Parliament for this area at that time. What is his name? Tom Leary or something. Anyway, he put it in, a promise to get this road around to Howser that way when the railroad was in. Anyway, he did. I don't know whether he got in, or I don't think he got in, but he promised this. Anyway, they put the approaches in. We hauled those poles down here and load them out. And I got $2,400 clear. So I paid Mr. Abbey off, and I was so happy. Boy. And then the next spring we moved our house that we had up there at Howser. We moved it, and the lean-to, moved it down in 2 pieces. Crossed the river with the house, pulled it up into where it is now. Yeah.
So that's over by where Brinkmans live now.
I don't know what their names are.
By Dutchie's Mill and...
Yeah, that's the place. I owned that whole 80 acres in there. BC Hydro bought half of it, eh?
Right. So, and did you live there until the dam was built? Or?
No. I had it rented to Pius. I don't know, quite a few years. No, we bought this place in '54. I didn't stay there too long. Because we got flooded out 2 or 3 times, eh? High water. So I had a chance to buy this place. It isn't like it is now, it's just a shell.
This was an old store, wasn't it?
Yeah, store and coffee shop and inn. They got it, Collier's Inn.
The date from the 1890s, or was it built?
Oh, no.
Since then?
No, it was built in 1948. It was built out of Duncan Lake Lumber.
So here you are.
Yeah, living at Duncan Lake Lumber. No, if we had the right manager up there. Willis was a poor manager.
Well, did he get out from under it by the fire?
Well, he didn't get nothing out of it that I could see. But this fire was deliberately set. We knew that. By the edger man done it.
For what reason, though? Why would he?
Well, he figured it wasn't going right, and they were getting farther and farther in debt. They owed to Kelly Douglas, you owed the compensation board, you owed the bank, and you owed this, and you owed the wages. And no production, and you didn't have any future in getting logs from Kootenai Cedar Company anymore. They were way behind in their stumpage. Kootenai Cedar.
Kootenai Cedar.
And they wouldn't give any more timber, so it just went belly up, that's all. So this is the only way they could get out from under. There was no insurance on it. And we were living, this is on a Saturday afternoon, or about noon, I guess, or a little after. We just had to sit down to lunch or dinner, I think. We were only about 3 or 4 houses down. And this fire was started good, and this heard the horn toot the boiler go, and
3 blasts.
Yeah, 3 blasts. So we run out of the house, down the road there, and here the goddamn fire was just really going by that time, just like somebody had thrown a pile of coal oil in there first, and threw a match in, and then went and threw the horn, because they knew you couldn't put it out. We had a big tank up on the hill that should have been full of water, and there was only about 2 feet of water in it, and there was something wrong here, because they only had a trickle of water coming off of that hill. We tried to, well, there's 2 drums sitting there by the planer for gas for the motor, and tried to roll them away, but it got so hot we had to leave them. It was that quick. So we just had to stand back and let her burn to try and save the blacksmith shop. And there was 2 people in the shower. They had a shower in there by the boilers, eh? And the cook and his wife were in the, when these blasts went off.
Having a shower?
Yep.
They got out of it?
And this guy just picked up his tools, walked back up to the bunkhouse. So we knew damn well it was deliberately set.
The Edgerman.
Edgerman, what I mean, yeah.
That whole episode with the mill and all must have been quite an intrusion into the lives of those like Billy Clark and Slim Hatfield and who had lived there for years and years.
Yes, but they took it very nicely. You know, I used to come down the river. In the evening or something. Billy Clark was the first one to come out and meet the boat. Every trip. Every time I came down that Duncan Lake. Yeah, Art, come on in. I know you're cold. You got to have a snifter. Yep. He was a wonderful guy, that Billy. And so was Slim. Slim was a big-hearted, too. Real big-hearted. Those 2 didn't get along too good, either of them together.
Oh, is that right?
No. But they always treated us 100%, I'll tell you.
That's amazing that they would have lived together in the same community for so many years and not gotten along.
Well, I don't know why they didn't, but Slim was altogether a different person, different kind of a person.
He was American, wasn't he?
I don't know whether he's American or not. I never heard that. But we used to know Bertie Board and all those fellows across the lake.
When you say across the lake, now that was Tim Ainsworth?
Yeah, and Bertie Board and Tim Ainsworth. And we used to go over there Saturday night and play cards or just sit around and talk. And
did they
enjoyed that.
They have separate places?
Oh yeah, they had 2 different separate places. Yeah.
They had come in very early, hadn't they?
Yeah, they'd been here for years. Yeah. Oh, I enjoyed it up there. Howser was a beautiful spot.
I was just reading...
Before they flooded it out.
I was just reading some columns written by Hugh LaFoley for the Kaslo newspaper about 1960, 1964, in that period. Lamenting in one column the destruction that the dam brought.
Yeah, you bet.
How did local people feel what was the first news that this was even going to happen? When did you? Well,
we knew that because my son Clark helped the churn drillers when they boarded at our place, in fact, at Marblehead. I was in behind their churn drilling for footings and so on.
When was that?
That was in, maybe 52. 53. Yeah, must have been in that area. Because I had the old TD6 then. I used to haul clean gravel. They wanted to put clean gravel down these holes after they churn drilled.
What's churn drilling?
Chuck like this and churning. And they bring up the muck and see what's down there. They want to see what footings they got, kind of footings.
So that was just sort of like a feasibility study.
That's right.
Construction.
Yeah, they did this all one winter there. And I used to have this TD6 and I'd haul on a stone boat. I'd haul a whole bunch of river gravel in there, clean gravel. That's what they were looking for. To put down these holes and then churn some more, I guess. I don't know what they really did, but my son helped them all one winter.
Did you have any sense of the scale of changes that were about to take place?
Well, I knew when they started that there was going to be something happen. But I logged all that back in there anyway, where the dam is. I logged and took the poles out of it beforehand.
But
before I knew there was going to be a dam, because we had that limit. The Duncan Lake had the limit, and I took it over.
Still Kootenai Cedar Company?
No, that part wasn't. This was the limit. Crown not Crown Grant, but Crown Timber.
Mm-hmm.
So when they burned up, I got a hold of it. They just turned it over to me. Transfer. So I took a lot of timber off of it. In fact, I used a team of horses to start with. Then I used this little TD6 cat after that. Yeah, a whole lot of wood out of there.
Well, do you know anything about the house that Wilkinsons lived in? When it was built? If it was
No, I couldn't tell you. It was there when we came. And I don't know how long. Hey?
Didn't the lumber company use it?
Yeah, I think so. They used it. And they used that cookhouse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they used all that camp.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether they had Doc's place or not.
There was a fellow named Jack Hayde. I wonder
Oh yes.
how you spelled his name.
Hyde.
He was a master of your tugboat?
Yeah, that Black Mariah.
The Black
Call it the Black Mariah. It had no power whatsoever. I think I could stand on the bank and hold that with a rope. He could have the full power. I don't think he'd pull me into the water. It had that much power, and he was supposed to be towing logs down the lake with that thing. I don't know, it sunk 2 or 3 times on us. I'd bring it back up again and clean it up.
Peggy Bildstein told a story about her husband running aground with Jack Hayde.
Oh,
and
yeah.
having to walk down and then go back and get him.
Yeah.
That sounded like quite a...
Yeah, I remember that.
Story.
That was quite a deal walking in the night through all that windfalls and brush, boy.
But did you run into much evidence of previous activity in mining and in logging that might have dated from the earlier?
Yeah, there used to be an Omo mine up there. They used to go up. Who was that? I forget who was the guy's name now. They called it Omo Mine.
Oh, Roy Lake told me something about the Omo Mule.
Did he?
He said I should ask somebody to tell me the story of the Omo Mule.
Oh, well, that's all I know, because they used to go up there every year to do assessment work. But where that mine is, I'll never know. I know he used to come to the camp. Oh yeah, we're going up that Omo mine.
Now, Joe Gallo was quite an active prospector. I guess you were around at the time he sold his claim.
Oh yeah, we were here, yeah. Him and Billy Clark and what's that other? There's 4 of them in Anderson and that other guy. His wife left him. What's his name? There's 4 of them in there. You know, in that big mine there for Cominco bought. No, Cominco didn't buy it at first. Some other outfit bought it first, and then they sold to Cominco.
Somebody told me that Joe Gallo bought a car that was bigger than his cabin or something with him.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true?
I had a ride in that. He couldn't drive worth sour.
Oh, I've never seen anything like it. He couldn't back that thing up at all. You know, on the narrow roads, maybe I'd be hauling lumber or something down here and come back, and here he was, right in the middle of the road. You think he'd back up? No way. So I'd have to get in his car, back it up to the side, and get in my truck and go by.
Well,
He just couldn't back up.
He backed up. He would never look behind him. He was a little short guy. He couldn't look around behind him, so he'd just sit there and back up. He didn't know, he was
Quite a guy, that Joe Gallo. I took a trip once. Joe Gallo hired me to take these miners up to the glacier mine, up the glacier there. I had this TD6 cat, and this is the middle of winter. It's 25 below zero, eh? These guys are going up there to do some work on this mine. 2 young fellas. So I was logging up there 13 mile. I had to get my cat up there and I had to crank it to start it. 25 below zero. It took me from 8 o'clock that morning till 2 in the afternoon to get that cat started. I put fire under it, heat it up, get it on fire, throw snow into it, put it out. See, there's oil all around the belly pan. They get too hot and start to fire. And I waited fire over a few times and then it'd quit. I'd take the plugs out, they're all damp, so I'd have to dry them over fire. Put them back in. I get a few more kicks, more condensation. Did this till I got it started. And then I headed for Howser. They had all their goodies on a big stone boat.